King of Fighters franchise started back in 1994, bringing multiple SNK fighting games together in an all-out team-based brawl. 28 years and 14 sequels later, we have the latest and potentially greatest iteration of the beloved franchise. It's been 6 long years since the well-liked, though kinda ugly, return to form that was King of Fighters XIV, released on PlayStation but not Xbox. The series is back on the platform, and looks-wise, it is a massive improvement over its fellow 3D predecessor. How does the rest of this rather large fighting package hold up? Well, let's find out together in the XboxEra review of the King of Fighters 15. First things first, I love fighting games, but I am not an expert at them, so this will be more of a casual, friendly look at the title. The King of Fighters franchise was one of my favorite fighters after I found it back on the Dreamcast. Bringing together multiple fighters from various SNK fighting game franchises, it was an incredible and dense game that was very fun to pick up, but hard to master. That's still the case here in KOF 15, as things felt familiar, but within a few matches against tougher and tougher CPU opponents, I quickly found out just how deep the combat system still is here. Sadly, while the online servers are available, I have been unable to find an online match during this short 4-day period I had between receiving the review code and the review embargo hitting. Keep an eye out on our website, XboxEra.com, in the future, and I'll try and update my review with an online experience as soon as possible after launch. I did check in with players of the open beta that occurred pre-launch and was assured that the game's rollback netcode felt great if you were in a match with a 4 or 5 star connection rating. Getting back to the premise of this game, there is always a tournament with a story that you will need to Google if you want to have any idea as to what is going on. It is filled up by a multitude of teams from various SNK properties. The roster here is at 39 combatants to start, with 12 more characters coming in 4 separate player passes throughout the rest of 2022. The deluxe edition of the game will run you an extra $25 US and offers up the first 2 character passes along with some cosmetics. The launch roster is large, consisting of the Hero Team, Shunei, Beitenkun, Benimaru, and Nikaido. The Sacred Treasures Team with Kyo Kusanagi, Iori Yagami, and Shizuri Kagura. The classic Fatal Fury Team of Terry Bogard, Andy Bogard, and Joe Higashi. The Orochi Team with Yoshiro Nanasaki, Shermie, and Chris. The Art of Fighting Team with Ryo Sakazaki, Robert Garcia, and King. The Ikari Team has Leona Hadern, Ralph Jones, and Clark Still. The Secret Agent Team's got Blue Mary, Vanessa, and Long. The Super Heroine Team with Asina Asamiya, Mai Shiranui, and Yuri Sakazaki. The Galaxy Anton Wrestling Team with Antonov, Ramon, and the King of Dinosaurs. Rounding things out are the Rival Team with Isla, Hydern, and Dolores. The announced DLC characters feature 2 more teams of 3 each. Pack 1 has the Garu Team from Garu Mark of the Wolves, featuring Rock Howard, Gato, and B. Jeanette. Pack 2 features Rock's father, Geese Howard, Billy Gain, Ryuji Yamazaki, and are known as the Southtown Team. To match this large roster of familiar and new faces are a decent number of game modes. None of them are wholly unique or new, but everything I had hoped for personally is on hand here. The game modes are Versus, which consists of either 3-on-3 or 1v1 matches. Each mode can be against CPU or player-controlled characters, and you have a choice of either single fights or full tournaments of up to 100 rounds. There is a light story mode where you take a team of 3 fighters and fight through a series of mostly easy opponents with opening, middle, and ending cinematic scenes. The ending changes depending on if you use a full team to win or not. Here is a unique sub and main boss. The former is a fun fight, and the latter is a miserable slog until you have mastered the game's more advanced mechanics. There is also a comprehensive training mode toolset for learning both the basic and advanced techniques and the timings of the game with any character on any stage you would like. I spent a lot of time in here, and it had all the basic options you would expect, from setting your opponent's behaviors, the level of various meters, and a fair bit more. Next up is the online section of modes, which is the largest in the game. You have Ranked Match, which is exactly what it sounds like, the most serious online mode where you are ranked by your skill, and the initial ranking being handled through 3 progressively harder CPU fights. They also have a Casual Match, which again is self-explanatory. It's just a much easier, lighter, happier, friendlier fight. Then there is the Room Match, which is the online version of hanging out with a group of friends and playing a fighting game together as you each take turns. I'll try and have more again on this post-launch, as I spent hours hoping to find someone else to play early to fight against online, but I had zero luck in this mode or on any online mode. There's also online training, where you and an online opponent can hang out and learn together in the training mode, and that sure sounds neat. There's Replay, which uses the recording feature, which you access by clicking in the left stick during a fight, and this is how you can watch what you have chosen to save. You've got your profile here as well, which is a statistical record of both your multiplayer fight history and your story mode accomplishments. And then there is a leaderboard, which again is for both multiplayer and story mode. And thanks to the fact that there had only been 9 full clears the first time I beat story mode, I have briefly held the #1 spot in the world. There's also a solid tutorial mode that breaks down the basic and advanced combat and movement abilities in the game. It's pretty easy to complete and gives you an achievement for 10 minutes of work. The DJ station allows you to play through all of the music in King of Fighters 15, 14, and 94 that you have unlocked, and was great for helping me make the video of this review. The mission mode has you attempt to complete progressively difficult combos with each character, and it's a legitimately good way to learn the tougher parts of the game as you try to perfect your main characters. There's also a gallery featuring any videos and voice clips you have unlocked, and the game has a rather small number of overall options. One thing I was asked during this review process is, can you turn off rush mode? And I didn't find any way to do that. What is rush mode, you may be asking? Well, in an attempt to be more approachable to the masses, rush mode was introduced back in KOF XIV, and it is the King of Fighters version of auto combos. Each combo starts with the light punch button 3 times, and then, depending on your meter level, you can use a different attack button to use different moves to finish it off automatically. It's fun for the more noobish out there like myself, though being able to turn them off is something the more hardcore out there had hoped for. I was unable to get into a ranked online match, but I do wonder if perhaps they may disable auto combos in there. It would make sense, but I won't be able to know again until the game hits early access after this review is out. This is a 4-button fighter. X is your light and Y are your heavy for punches. A is light and B is heavy for kicks. X and A together, and holding either left or right, will give you a short invincibility dodge, but at the end of that dodge, it leaves you open for a split second to an attack. The game features all of the returning advanced mechanics as well, such as dashing, hops, hyper hops, hyper jumps, a 5-level meter, max mode, climax and hyper climax super moves, and the blowback attack. There is a lot here, and the advanced tutorial will be your best bet in trying to begin grasping it all if you're new to the series. Thankfully, with a ranking system, the online should hopefully face you against players of your level should you choose to fight the online masses. There is that new Shatter Strike ability, using a familiar quarter circle forward movement, followed by the heavy punch and heavy kick buttons that will severely, quickly incapacitate opponents at the cost of some meter. This is a dense, well-balanced, and incredibly satisfying fighter. At least at the start. During the game's open beta, the best of the best had already found out 100% hit combos and various other issues. But in my time with the game, which was entirely against the CPU at various difficulties, it felt fair at the very least. The CPU on hard is relentless and excellent at countering, but after working with my favorite Fatal Fury team enough, I was able to beat the end boss of the story mode and level 5 CPU opponents at a 50-50 clip. Graphically, things are a massive step up over KOF XIV's initial take on the 3D version of these characters. Long one of the most beautiful 2D sprite-based fighting games out there, this is a far better looking game than the previous one. The texture work, shading, lighting, and the general art direction are massive improvements. One area where things are a bit over the top are the outfits and breast sizes of the female characters. I know most of the community out there won't care, but I just had to mention how unbelievably horny this game can be, with long shots of breasts and butts for pretty much every female character in their pre- and post-match animations. Each fighter has a nice selection of color swaps, and various versions of the title will come with extra outfits for a few of them as well. Image quality is crisp, and everything ran at 60 frames per second on my Series X with no noticeable drops, even during the most intense effect-filled super moves. Certain characters have interesting pre-match conversations when they face each other, with unique animations, and the endings feature a mix of pre-rendered and lightly animated cutscenes. Audio-wise, things are excellent in every area outside of the excited announcer voice. I would have right away changed to the standard announcer. It is far more palatable. The voice acting is as iconic as ever, and it is a classic mix of good and hilariously cheesy. The music on offer from KOF XIV, KOF 94, and of course the new tracks for 15 are uniformly fantastic. Being able to set what you want to listen to each match is a nice touch as well if you have a particular favorite you're fond of fighting to. In conclusion, KOF 15 is an excellent iterative sequel. It doesn't rewrite or vastly change what came before it, but it refines it into a far prettier and more complete package. You'll want to check in with coverage post-launch and see how the online servers hold up. But if it's anything like the open beta, and you're able to get one of those 4 or 5 star rated connections, it'll feel fantastic online. This game is deep, pretty, kinda horny, and a must-play for the casual and hardcore among the fighting game community alike. As always, thank you for watching, and if you visit us at patreon.com/XboxEra, that is the best way to support the channel. And we'll see you here next time.